What if I told you that the laptop's so thin, so light, so powerful that it redefines what a MacBook can be? One that doesn't just keep up with your life, it anticipates it effortlessly. That's the Apple 2024 MacBook Air 13-inch with the M3 chip. It's not just an upgrade. It's a revolution in a half-inch thick package. And today, we're putting it through the paces to see if it truly lives up to the hype. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Most ultra-portable laptops force you to choose between power and portability. You either get a featherweight machine that stutters when you open 15 Chrome tabs, or a heavier beast that drains your battery by noon. The MacBook Air with M3 doesn't just split the difference, it obliterates it. Apple's been teasing this for years, but with the M3, they've finally delivered a chip that's not just efficient, but genuinely transformative. Gone are the days of throttle performance in thin and light designs. This is the first MacBook Air where Air doesn't stand for underpowered. Now, let's talk about what you actually hold in your hands, or what you'd hold if you picked it up. The 2024 MacBook Air 13-inch is a masterclass in minimalism. Weighing just 7 pounds and measuring a mere 0.44 inches thin, it's the kind of device that disappears in your bag. The wedge-shaped aluminum unibody isn't just gorgeous, it's durable, with a premium matte finish that resists fingerprints far better than glossy competitors. The keyboard? Still the best in the business, with that satisfying scissor switch mechanism that makes typing feel like a conversation rather than a chore. And the trackpad? A massive force-touch surface that responds to pressure like magic, making gestures feel intuitive and effortless. But design is only half the story. The real magic happens under the hood, or rather under the keyboard. The M3 chip isn't just another incremental update. It's a generational leap. With an 8-core CPU and up to a 10-core GPU, this is the first MacBook Air where you can confidently run Final Cut Pro, Xcode, or even light 3D rendering without hearing the fan spin up. The unified memory architecture means your apps load instantly, and multitasking is buttery smooth. I tested it with 30 Safari tabs open, a dozen Slack messages, and a Lightroom export running in the background. Zero lag, zero stutter. Even the most demanding creative tasks feel like child's play. And then there's the display. The 13.6-inch Liquid Retina screen is a stunner, with 500 nits of brightness and support for a billion colors. Whether you're editing photos, watching HDR content, or just scrolling through memes, everything pops with clarity and vibrancy. The thin bezels make the screen feel borderless, and the 60 Hz refresh rate is perfectly adequate for most users. Though if you're coming from a high refresh rate Windows laptop, you might notice the difference. Still, for productivity and media consumption, it's hard to beat. Now, let's talk battery life, because this is where the M3 truly shines. Apple claims up to 18 hours of real-world use, and in my testing, it delivered. I binge-watched 3 episodes of a show, edited a 10-minute 4K video, and still had 30% battery left at the end of the day. That's not just impressive, it's life-changing. No more hunting for outlets in cafes or carrying a brick-sized charger. With the M3, you can leave the power adapter at home and still have juice to spare. But what about the trade-offs? No laptop is perfect, and the MacBook Air has a few. First, the fanless design is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it means silent operation, no jet engine whirring when you're in a meeting. On the other, sustained heavy workloads can throttle performance to keep temperatures in check. I ran a stress test rendering a 3D scene in Blender, and after 20 minutes, the CPU speed dropped by about 15%. That's not a deal breaker for most users, but if you're a professional pushing the limits, you might want to consider the 15-inch model or a MacBook Pro. Another consideration is the port selection, or lack thereof. You get 2 Thunderbolt/USB 4 ports and a MagSafe charging port. That's it. No HDMI, no SD card hidif, no USB-A. If you're someone who still relies on legacy peripherals, you'll need dongles. And while Wi-Fi 6E is included, the lack of a headphone jack might irk some audiophiles. Apple's moved on, but not everyone has. Now, how does this stack up against the competition? Let's compare it to the closest rivals. The Dell XPS 13 is a fantastic Windows alternative with a gorgeous display and solid performance. But its battery life pales in comparison, and the keyboard, while good, doesn't match Apple's. The HP Spectre X360 is another strong contender, with a 2-in-1 form factor and OLED display options. But it's heavier, more expensive, and lacks the M3's efficiency. And then there's the MacBook Pro 14-inch, which offers more ports, better cooling, and a brighter display, but at double the price and with a bulkier design. For most people, the MacBook Air 13-inch strikes the perfect balance between power, portability, and price. So who is this laptop for? If you're a student, a professional, a creative, or just someone who values reliability and performance without the baggage, this is the laptop to buy. It's not for power users who need maxed out specs or gamers who demand discrete GPUs. But for everyone else, it's a dream machine. The 16 gigabytes of unified memory and 512 gigabytes SSD are more than enough for everyday tasks. And the M3's efficiency means you won't be upgrading anytime soon. Apple Care Plus for 3 years is a smart add-on, especially if you're prone to accidents. Spills, drops, or screen cracks are covered, and the peace of mind is worth the investment. Just remember that repairs can still be pricey if you don't have coverage. In the end, the Apple 2024 MacBook Air 13-inch with M3 isn't just a laptop. It's a statement. It says you refuse to compromise, that you want power without the bulk, performance without the noise, and style without the sacrifice. It's the ultimate blend of form and function, wrapped in Apple's signature attention to detail. If you're ready to upgrade your workflow, or just your daily driver, this is the one to get. Click the link in the description, add it to your cart, and experience what it feels like to hold the future in your hands. Trust me, you won't regret it.